Welcome everybody. Welcome back to Formula for Average. And this episode will be all about predictions. Predictions for 2026 for drivers and for constructors. But before we get into that, there is one thing I need to address, because there has been this controversy or discussion about the compression ratios for the internal combustion engines and units and stuff like that, and it was sort of told, or there was let's say suspicion that Mercedes has an advantage, or Mercedes manufactured power units have the advantage in this area. So today, as I'm recording it today, the FIA has announced that they have come up with a, let's say, solution, and I quote that this solution is to start measuring the engine compression ratios both in hot and cold conditions from June 1st, so meaning this year, and only measuring them in operational conditions at 130 degrees Celsius starting from 2027 season and onwards. So this means that this year from June 1st they will measure both conditions, when the engine is cold and when it's hot, and then later, starting from 2027 and onwards, they will measure them in operational temperature. So seemingly that this advantage which Mercedes had, they will have for, let's say, half a season until June 1st, and then hopefully this let's say this situation will be resolved in a sense that they will measure them in both conditions, and this ratio not exceed 16:1 ratio. So yeah, these are the news that came out today. It means that basically Mercedes manufactured engines, they have, let's say, half a year to prove them better, and then after half a year everyone will be on the same level. So this was the loophole that was that Mercedes had found, and apparently now it's being clamped down. And the interesting part is that, at least according to this report which I'm reading, says that all 5 power unit manufacturers have voted for these changes. It means that also Mercedes have voted for these changes. So I guess they've been cornered, and in the sense they agree that they have found a loophole, and now this loophole has to be closed in a way. Otherwise, they would be cornered, I guess, or forced to that this engine is not legal at the stage. So, I guess a compromise in a way. We'll see how it develops, but this is now news from today. So, that being said, as I said, this episode will be about predictions for 2026, about the drivers and about the constructors. So let's just jump into it, and let's discuss my predictions and how I see how the grid will pack itself. So I will go from 22nd to 1st, and I'll do a brief explanation about why I'm making such choice. So in position 22nd, I am putting Lance Stroll. I'm sorry, at the moment it seems that Aston Martin has troubles with the power unit, and even if they manage to solve them during the season, I don't think that it will be enough for Stroll to score some points or some decent points in order to climb in the order throughout the season. So that's why I'm putting him in the last place. 21st, Valtteri Bottas. I think a Cadillac in general will have a tough season, although they have proved themselves that they have been here and they have arrived and they did the tests and everything. But the car is still slow, and I think this season is all about development, developing their car, developing their processes, their strategies, and etc., etc. This will be a learning season for them, so I don't have a big expectations for them. Number 20, the same, Cadillac. I think Sergio Perez, he will do, in my opinion, slightly better than Valtteri, but I think still most likely not pointless, but the season without points. Although during the season, probably, in my opinion, Sergio will do a little bit better, so he will be, let's say, one place up from Valtteri. Number 19, I'm putting the first or the only rookie of the season, and this is purely because I believe that rookies do tend to have, let's say, tough first seasons, and that's normal. And also the Racing Bulls, they did not convince me during the testing that they have a, let's say, competitive car. Number 18, unfortunately, I'm putting also his teammate, Arvid Lindblad's teammate, Liam Lawson. So he's not a rookie. He has a 1 season or 1.5 seasons behind his belt. But as I said, I think Racing Bulls does not look competitive enough to score some good points. So, and Lawson is, I think this season will be, he needs to prove himself that he can do best, but if he will finish in P18 as I am predicting, then this might as well be his last season. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see how the situation develops in the future. So number 17, I'm putting Fernando Alonso. I'm sorry, I really would like to put Fernando more towards the top part, but because of the car, I think he still will outperform the car in some races when the car allows that to do it and doesn't break down in the middle of a race. But I still believe that he will have a tough season, and he will do better than his teammate. But I hope that they score some points, but at the moment it does not look good. So yeah, that's why number 17. Number 16, Gabriel Bortoleto. And also purely because I think that the Audi will not be competitive enough. They will not be competitive enough to score points, or maybe they will in some cases, but in general I think it will be a struggle for them. So that's why I think that he's there, even though Audi looked more reliable. If we look at the new power units, comparing Honda and Audi, I think Audi is in a much better state. However, it's not, let's say, not good enough at the moment. So maybe some points, but overall, I think that Audi will have also a tough season. Number 15, Franco Colapinto. And this is a tough one because I'm betting at the moment that Alpine in general will be better than, let's say, some of their competitors, just purely because of the power unit, and because this year Alpine has a Mercedes power unit, so they should be good compared to last year. But Franco somehow does not convince me, or did not convince me, that he would be, let's say, scoring points frequently and that he would be able to do that. And I don't believe that he will be able to do that this year. That's why I'm putting in him number 15, maybe some occasional point here or there. But in general, I think that he still needs to develop, and also Alpine will not be as good in order to score points frequently. Number 14, Nico Hülkenberg. And this is the second Audi pilot. I think he will outperform Gabriel, but again, because Audi will not be competitive enough, I think that scoring points will be a struggle for them this year. So that's why I think he will do better. He will outperform his teammate, but Audi will not. The car will not allow them to do better. That's why he's number 14. Number 13, Pierre Gasly. And this one was a tough, because I think that if we look at the pilot skills as such, then I think Pierre should be higher up. However, again, Alpine, they have a new power unit. It will take them time to get to dial in, to understand the power unit, to understand how it works. And even though it will be better power unit than they had last year, I think it will still not be enough for them to understand it completely and to do good this year. That's why I believe that it will be hard for them to compete with the big guys. Although I know that this is their ambition, and they are very keen to be higher up in the packing order, but I think not this year. They are not ready to be there, just because they need to dial in a lot of things. Number 12, Alex Albon. And this is a little bit controversial, because I was thinking and I couldn't, let's say, decide where to put Williams in general, because I believe at the moment, or in the first couple of races, they will be on the back foot, and I think it will be a struggle for them in the beginning of the season. But I truly believe that Williams will be able to, let's say, climb the order as the season progresses. That's my hope. That's what they showed last year, and I hope that they will be able to do that also this year. That is why I believe I put them above Alpine, above Audi, above Racing Bulls. Although, as I said in the beginning of the year, I think they will have a hard time, and probably they will fall behind, for example, Alpine. But throughout the season, I'm hopeful that they can improve and climb up. That is why I think Alex should be there. And looking at last year, Alex did great job for Williams. Of course, Sainz got those 2 podiums, but overall, Albon did a good job, and I think that he will still prove himself that he's a great driver. But the car will be on the back foot in the beginning of the season, so that's why it's hard for them to be competitive or be higher up. Although they have the ambition to eventually fight for the championships. Not this year, unfortunately, not yet. They are not yet ready, in my opinion. Number 11, Esteban Ocon. And I'm putting him here, and overall, I think Haas looked very good in the testing. I think they are best of the rest team at the moment. However, I'm not convinced that Esteban can be competitive compared to his teammate. As you see, his teammate is not on the board yet, so that means that he is higher up. He had struggles last year, and even before that, he had struggles in Alpine and so on. So he's a good driver, don't get me wrong, but I think that he somehow needs to get his. In order for him to be good, he needs the weekend to go his way. He is not a driver. I think he's, in a sense, an emotional driver, and it's very easy to get him out of his sort of stable state, and he can make a lot of mistakes, and that is why I think that he will not do as good as his teammate. And let's face it, also Behrman is the rising star at the moment. At least that's how he looked at, and it will be hard for Esteban to beat him. So now we get into the top 10. So my number 10 driver in 2026 will be Carlos Sainz, and I really hope that I'm wrong here, and I really hope that he would be higher up. But again, as the same as for Albon, I think that at least in the beginning of the season, the car will not be competitive enough for him to score good points in order to be here. And I truly believe that in the second half of the season, they will improve the car and they will get better and they will start to climb up, but a little too late. So he will break the barrier of top 10, but not higher. If he had the car, I believe that he is a top 5 driver, but just because the car is not there, unfortunately, I cannot put him any higher at the moment. So number 9, Oliver Bearman. I think this will be a good season for him. He proved himself already last year in a couple of occasions. For example, Mexico was an outstanding performance from him, but I think in other races he was also good. And I think this will be a good season for him. And he is the Ferrari Academy driver, and he has to prove himself that he's worth to eventually get a promotion to the big team, to the Ferrari, of course. And if let's say the obvious, right? The Hamilton will not be in Ferrari for a very long time, just because of his age. That's the elephant in the room, right? We cannot exclude that. Yes, if this season will be good for Hamilton, which is a big if, then of course he might continue, or Ferrari might decide to continue with him. But if this season is not good, then I think Oliver is the one that will step into his shoes, or be the Ferrari driver from 2027. We'll see what will happen, but nevertheless, what will happen in the future, I think this year for Oliver will be a good season. He has his rookie season done and dusted. He had his ups and he had his downs, but now this is his second season and he has to prove himself. And the car is good. Haas is good. And I truly believe that he can deliver. So, number 9, Oliver Bearman. Number 8, Isaac Hadjar. So now Isaac has been promoted to the big team. He's the driver next to Max Verstappen, and I really hope, and this is, let's say, more a prediction based on hopes than on let's say on history, because if we look at the history, then the second driver in Red Bull has not been able to be as high up as I'm predicting. I still believe that, as you see, out of the top 4 cars, 4 teams, he is the, let's say, least favorite driver. But I still believe that Red Bull will be a different car this year, and Red Bull will be able to let's say, to tune the car towards Isaac's preference. Of course, the main benchmark is Max, but I think Isaac will do good. I don't know why. I really hope that he will not be the next driver whose career is being destroyed as Max's teammate. I hope that he will do good. Of course, you can argue that he has not a lot of experience, and I agree to that. However, I hope and I feel that he will do better. If I have to look back at last, let's say, a couple of teammates of Max, meaning Lawson, who had, like, let's say, very small chance, and I think that was a wrong decision anyway. But then, looking at Checo and looking at Yuki, if we look at all of these 3 drivers, I think that Isaac is the best option, at least definitely between Yuki and Liam. He is, for some reason, I have a feeling that he is the better option. So we'll see how it goes, but I believe that he will do good. He will do better than his predecessors, but of course, get into the big top 7, which is ahead of us, is a bit of a stretch in my opinion. Number 7, Oscar Piastri. I'm sorry. I'm gutted, to be honest, to put him that low, because I think, unfortunately, he blew his chance to become a world champion last year, and nothing bad that I can say. I think he did everything correct. Of course, there were these unfortunate races, for example, Baku and a couple of others where he was bad. But in general, I think he did a great job. But unfortunately, this year, I think the car will not allow McLaren to fight for the championships, not for the constructor, not for the drivers. It's a shame, because I really would like to see Oscar being world champion. Maybe one day, maybe next year, they will improve the car. But at the moment, McLaren does not seem to be the fastest the fastest car, so it will be very hard for them to compete at the very top. Although we have seen before that McLaren is very good at developing cars, like 2023, starting from the bottom and then ending towards the top part of the grid. So maybe the same will happen this year, but at the moment it doesn't seem so. So Oscar is number 7, sorry. Number 6, yes, number 6 now is Lando Norris, the second McLaren driver, the reigning world champion. Unfortunately, the same reason as for Piastri, I believe Lando and Oscar, they are both very equal drivers. If we look from their pace and their speed. Yes, Lando did a better job towards the end of last year. That's why he well-deserved. He became a world champion, but I think that will not happen this year, unfortunately, just because the car will not be there. The car will they will fight for podiums, don't get me wrong. They will fight for occasional wins, in my opinion, but they are not the fastest car at the moment. That's how it seems. And if this Mercedes power unit changes come into place starting from June, or this method how they measure, it means that they have to tune their engine some differently, or maybe do some changes in the parts or whatever. I don't know how they will let's say change their power unit, but this will affect the customer teams for Mercedes, and McLaren being one of them. I think this will affect them as well. So my prediction is that they will be maybe better in the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season they might slip down a little bit. Okay, now top 5, and number 5 is Kimi Antonelli. I think, as I said for Behrman and for Isaac, I think that Kimi will have a very good season. Don't get me wrong. He will be fighting for podiums and fighting for wins. However, he's still a little bit too young. He has way less experience to fight for championship. And that is why I think he will do very good. And don't get me wrong, like come on, like number 5 on the drivers' championship, that's great result, I believe, for this will be his second year in Formula 1. So I think this is a great result, and he will do better than he did last year. But yeah, I think that he will have his occasional slip-ups, and he will occasionally not score as much as he should, or as much as the car will allow him. So we'll see. I think it's purely up or because of his lack of experience. He will gain more this year, next year, and so on. And I believe he is the world champion in making, but he still needs to have a couple of years under his belt in order to do that. Number 4, Lewis Hamilton. And I truly believe, and I hope that this season will be better than last season, and it must be. I mean, come on. It was a disastrous season last year, so he has to do better this year. But I think that Mercedes power unit at the moment is better, and that is why I believe that it will be hard for Ferrari to fight for the championship, at least in the drivers. But I think that Charles will, as you see, Charles is not here yet, so he will outperform Lewis. Not by much. I think they will trade wins and they will trade podiums this year, and I hope that the Ferrari will be much stronger this year than they were last year, and Lewis will be back on the podium. Lewis will get some wins and score some good points, but it will not be enough to fight for the championship. But it will be a much better year for him. It must be. Otherwise, I don't see how he will continue in F1, or at least in some competitive team such as Ferrari for the upcoming seasons. And I think if he will not do good, he will just retire himself. So that's my prediction, and I think that Lewis will do good. I don't know if P4 is good enough for him. I think no. I think the only goal for him is to be in the Ferrari to become the world champion. At the moment, I don't see that happening, but time will tell. So, number 3, third position goes to the first step of the podium goes to Max Verstappen. I was thinking about this, and the only reason I put Max number 3rd is because I think the Red Bull power unit, this Red Bull and Ford powertrains thingy, will not be in the long run competitive enough with Mercedes and with Ferrari. I think they have a decent power unit, and they will do good. And Max, being Max, he will outperform the car in many races, but I think it will not be enough for him to fight for the championship. However, you never know with Max. The last year, he almost proved everybody wrong and almost became world champion. But eventually, I think this year also will be a little bit of a struggle. For Max, in a sense, for his high standard, it will be a struggle, and they will be in the mix, but they will not be. He will not be in the mix enough to fight for the championship. So, P3 for Max Verstappen. So now I will reveal my number 1, and then, well, we have only 2 places left, so you will know who is the number 2. So my number 1 and my prediction for the champion of 2026 Formula 1 season is George Russell. And of course, let's reveal number 2, it's Charles Leclerc. Why George? I think he is the favorite going into the season. He is the favorite because he has the experience, he's mature, he's consistent, and he might as well have the best car this year. At least in the first half of the season, he will have the best car, in my opinion. So, combining all of this, I think he is ready as a driver. The team will be ready as a team. So, and the good thing about Mercedes and good thing for George is that he's the clear number 1 driver at the moment. Like if we look at for example, this is example from last year with McLaren having 2 number 1 drivers, who is the favorite, blah, blah, blah. They refused to name that. So they supported both. But I think in this case, Mercedes will support George 100%. So if Kimi will need to step out of his way, he will do it, because you have a clear number 1 driver. The same also, not the same, but the opposite is for Ferrari. I think they will not choose who is their favorite driver unless it's like mathematically impossible for the other driver to become a world champion. So these things plays into Russell's hands, because he can use Kimi to become world champion, and I think Mercedes will do that. The same, of course, goes for Max and Isaac, but I think Max and Isaac will not be fighting for the world championship. That's why George, and if we look at between George and Charles, then George has a better he's in a better situation just because he has a teammate who will support him winning the world title. So this is my list of drivers for 2026 season. And of course, you can draw some conclusions from these who will be the Constructors champions. But nevertheless, let's take a look at those. So my Constructors championship, there are no surprises because they follow the order, or the, let's say, the order of the drivers. So the lower you score as a driver, the less chance there is for the team to be higher up. It's just logical, right? So number 11, I almost said number 10. Number 11 is Cadillac. Even though I put Lance in the last position, I think that still Aston will improve in the second half of the seasons, and there will be some points for, especially for Alonso. So I think Cadillac will not score points this year, and that is why I put them number 11. Number 10, Aston Martin, just because I think it will not be enough for them to score more and to be better. So yeah, they are number 10. Racing Bulls, number 9. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know why. It sounds weird, right? Because I'm not convinced that they can do a good job. I somehow don't believe in their car and in their team. I somehow believe that they will be not competitive enough. I think that's it. And I don't see them scoring a lot of points this year. I'm sorry. I don't. The testing did not convince me. Audi, number 8. Not much to comment there. They will just have some good, but mostly bad races. And I don't think they will be higher up. That's it. Number 7, Alpine. Just because of their power unit, I think they will do a decent job in some races and score enough points to be number 7. Number 6 goes to Williams. And as I said, for the drivers, I say the same for the team. I think in the first half of the season, they will be bad and they will not be top 6. But in the second half of the season, I believe that they will climb up the order. And eventually, my prediction is that they will climb up to P6, which still will be worse than they did last year. So, but anyways, I believe that they are in the good position to improve, but they have to prove that. Number 5, Haas. And from the testing, it looked like that they are best of the rest. So that's why I'm putting them here. And as I said, I think Behrman will have a very good season. Ocon hopefully will have a decent season also, or a good season. And this will be enough for them to score P5 in the Constructors. And it will be a huge step for them. And I don't think any of these teams from 5th to 11th place are ready to challenge the Big Four, because the Big Four looks good or looks superior than the rest of the teams at the moment. So getting to the Big Four, my number 4 is Red Bull. As I said, I think Isaac will do a good job, but not good enough for Red Bull to be higher up. Probably Max will do the heavy lifting this year, but seeing how competitive and how good are the big 3 remaining teams, I think it will be a hard job for Red Bull to be higher up. That's why I'm putting them P4. P3 is, no surprise, McLaren. I think this was just obvious, and I think it will not be enough. It will be not simply good enough. They will not be good enough to be higher up or to challenge Mercedes or Ferrari. I think Mercedes and Ferrari will fight out the championship title this year in drivers and in constructors respectively. So So, and now the top 2, I will just reveal them basically on the fly, and they are I know that Russell will win or my prediction is that Russell will win the Drivers' Championship, but I think that Ferrari will clinch the Constructors. I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Maybe I'm out of my mind. I don't know. But I think Russell will not do enough because, as I said, in combination, if we look at the driver pairings, I think that Ferrari has a better driver pairing than Mercedes, just because Kimi is not mature enough yet. He does not have enough experience. That's why I think Leclerc and Hamilton has a better experience, and throughout the season they will outperform Mercedes. But if we look at the individual driver standings, then I think Russell is in a better place. That's why Russell will take. My prediction is that Russell will take Drivers' Championship title and Ferrari will be the world champions, which will be huge for them if they do, because they have in the last, I don't remember when they were last time the Constructors' Championship. I didn't look that stat up, I'm sorry. But it has been a long time. So I think this is the year for Ferrari, especially in the second half of the season, if these rules about these compression ratios for the internal combustion engine will be clamped down and Mercedes will be a little bit on the back foot. I think this is a chance for Ferrari to score the title. So yeah, these are my predictions for this year, for this season. Probably I'm totally wrong. Probably it will be something totally different, but this is the fun part, of course. This is just prediction. This is just guessing, a little bit intelligent guessing, a little bit wacky and gut feeling guessing. But that's why it's interesting. That's why the Formula One is so interesting, and you never know who will become the champion, who will develop the car throughout the season better, which driver will cope with the new regulations better, the batteries, the boosts and overtake modes and active aeros and whatnot. So all of this mix up of these different things, this will be interesting to see how this develops and which driver and which team will get on top of these regulations. So this is my predictions for 2026. I hope you enjoyed it, and we have 1 week to go until Melbourne and until Australian Grand Prix is happening. So yeah, next Sunday already is the first race, and after that I will be back with another episode to take a look how did what happened, because this is the big question, of course, and I'm so excited, and I'm really looking forward for this new season, just because it's so unpredictable. It will be interesting to see what will happen. So see you in 1 week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and yeah, that's it. Thank you and bye bye.